Hello, this is Leah Whitehorse from Lunar Astrology with the cosmic forecast for October 2014. And we've got another big month ahead. There's some major astrological movements going on. We've got a Mercury Retrograde, a grand trine, a grand fire trine, and it's eclipse season as well. And I've been noticing that around me everything feels a little bit tense, a little bit restless. There's a sense of anticipation going on in the air. And at times it feels like wired excitement. And sometimes that's tipping over into stress. So I have noticed I've been sleeping less, and also sometimes I've not been sleeping at all. And thank you to all of my Facebook friends who have been suggesting insomnia remedies. I have tried them and I have slept well last night for once. So we start the month with Mercury Retrograde. That's on the 4th of October when it stations retrograde. And honestly, it does feel like this one has kicked in a little bit early. During the shadow period, I have noticed issues with communication, issues with technology, all those kinds of things manifesting around me. Now Mercury stations retrograde in Scorpio, but it's still in the very early degrees of that sign. It's like Mercury's just dipping his toes into the water. In Scorpio, it can feel like you catch a glimpse of something that you maybe don't want to see or you can't quite decipher. In the station retrograde chart, we've got the Sun square to Pluto, so Pluto, the ruler of Scorpio. So there can be a feeling that there's a storm coming, or there's a fear that things are slipping out of control. And the trick really is not to panic and try not to react to what's going on. Mercury moving backwards is going to give you some time to consider your response, or just to get some more information. Listen to your hunches. Your emotions are like psychic radar, but at the same time it is important to figure out what's an emotional reaction and what is intuition. During the retrograde period, Mercury will slip back into Libra. It might be useful then to talk to some others about how you are seeing things, and gauge other people's reactions and responses to see what energy you're giving out. Libra is a sign of give and take, balance, equality, and harmony. Scorpio is about shared resources, truth, and transformation, and it's also the sign that represents other people's stuff. With Mercury moving back from Scorpio through to Libra, it may be useful during this retrograde period to have a look at whether some of that psychological stuff you're carrying actually belongs to someone else. It may be that it's time to give back some of this baggage to the person or people that you collected it from. Now, this could range from literally giving back belongings that have been left in your house or borrowed, so you give it back to the person that it belongs to. Or it could be mentally handing back the baggage that you've accumulated from previous relationships, whether difficult friendships or difficult partnerships, or even difficult relations with colleagues or your boss, for example. This isn't about vengeance though, it's simply about cutting the ties that bind and making a decision to do that. It's about getting clear about who you are. The more transparent you are, the better your relationships can be, the closer your relationships can be. Not only that, when Mercury starts to move forwards again and re-enter Scorpio, you'll be better equipped to navigate these depths of your own unconscious mind and not feel afraid of the truths that you find there. As a backdrop to everything, we have this beautiful grand fire trine. It's going to be working in the background from around the beginning of October to about the 16th of October. And this grand trine is formed by Mars in Sagittarius, Jupiter in Leo, and Uranus in Aries. And this fire trine, it amplifies and enlivens your spirit. It's creative, it's full of energy, it's motivated and animated, and this is like a pulsing life force behind everything that you do. Jupiter trine Uranus is inventive. It's a spark of genius. It's breakthrough. Mars trine Jupiter has big courage and confidence and warmly encourages you to have faith in the future. It's the sheer joy of being alive. Mars trine Uranus is in it for the ride. It's heady excitement. It's the thrill of the chase. And yes, it can be a little bit unpredictable, but that's kind of part of the fun of it. The Grand Fire Trine is a call to tap into your own enthusiasm and your exuberance and look at really what fuels your sense of desire. Let yourself be inspired. Have faith in the future. And after this crucifying grand cross that we had back in April, this feels like a cosmic resurrection. The lunar eclipse in Aries occurs on the 8th of October, and it's going to be conjunct Uranus. So it's really going to set this grand fire trine alight. It's volatile and it's like a spark to a fuse. With the eclipse being square to Pluto, this could be fireworks or a bomb going off. It's either going to be gloriously pretty or absolute mayhem. This is a South Node eclipse, so essentially there's a theme of being liberated from restricting circumstances so that you can move forwards or go your own way. And this is a fight for freedom or domination with Pluto involved. Emotionally, feelings may erupt that have been kept under wraps for quite some time. But whatever is coming up now really demands to be looked at. Uranus is the planet of awakening, and he's not your average civilized clock with a nice gentle beeping alarm. He's basically like a screaming alarm that you want to throw across the room when it kind of shocks you awake in the morning. Eclipses by their nature are unpredictable, and this one has an extra edge of unpredictability with it because of Uranus. Whatever is happening, it does have a feeling that the rules of the game are changing. Something bursts into light and it's kind of like all guns blazing, and you probably will need to think on your feet. But it does tap into a sense of adventure and gives you a feeling of being daring. And sometimes big changes require bold reactions. Whatever happens here, be assured that this is resetting the balance and clearing the way for spiritual and creative growth. The Sun is conjunct the North Node on the 12th of October, and then Venus follows suit and conjuncts the North Node on the 15th of October. Now, both times the North Node is on the Sabian symbol, a Rabbi performing his duties. During this time between the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse, it may be useful to check in with yourself, especially if the lunar eclipse has thrown you a bit of a curveball with that Uranus influence. Are you performing your own duties without thoughts, kind of like a robot stuck in an old regime? Or do your routines and practices bring you a sense of consistency and security? If you're following a path of spiritual or personal development, this could be a really good time to devise a little ritual just to reaffirm your intentions. Rituals can be really complex or as simple as you want. So it's from lighting a candle like I have behind me here, and quietly thinking, just visualizing what you're working towards. Or it can be big and elaborate with consecrated tools and an altar and robes. It doesn't really matter. It's what counts is what you're drawn to and what speaks to you. It's about creating a sacred space, and it's a moment where you step outside of the mundane world and you engage in a dialogue with these living gods and goddesses and the archetypes of your unconscious. These conjunctions to the North Node are really like a shining path, that appears in a dark wood. So be willing to step on this path to self-knowledge And that way you can bring your life back into harmony. The North Node is in Libra. The solar eclipse occurs in Scorpio on the 23rd of October, and it'll be just after the Sun and Venus have entered into Scorpio. So it's on 0 degrees of Scorpio. And this solar eclipse has a really different feeling from the lunar eclipse. Whilst there is depth of feeling here, it is Scorpio after all, the eclipse itself is conjunct Venus and trine to Neptune. And this really has this feeling of awakening the inner artist in all of us. There is potential for experiencing the depths of unconditional love. Beauty moves you in profound ways, and what you perceive as beauty doesn't have to have anything to do with what society says or what the media says. This is about experiencing something that moves you to the very core of your soul. It has a potential to be a transcendent experience that alters your perception. The solar eclipse is sextile to Mars in Sagittarius, so it really adds to this feeling of it being a visionary experience. It also gives you the urge to do something with all these powerful feelings. So filled with inspiration and love, you may feel capable of taking on the world. Mercury stations direct on the 25th of October, and then Mars enters Capricorn on the 26th of October. These planetary movements have the effect of allowing the flow to move forwards, as well as grounding and making real all of your experiences this month. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. This is the warrior who's become the captain of the force. He's capable of taking charge and planning strategies that work towards advancement. These aspects are akin to having like a fabulous idea that's got you all excited, and now that you've started work on it and you're beginning to see it manifest, that's even more exciting. Mars in Capricorn advocates a calm, steady, disciplined approach, but it is highly ambitious as well. This is about knowing what you can do, knowing that you have what it takes and you have the will to succeed. After a month of riding a wave of passionate and intense feelings, soul searching, Mercury retrograde glitches, the occasional lunar eclipse bomb, Mars in Capricorn brings you back down to earth, and it gives you the strength and the energy and focused enthusiasm to just about tackle anything. So this month I chose the Rider-Waite deck, and the card that came out was the Chariot. There we go. And I have to say this is one of my favourite cards actually in this deck. The two magical sphinxes make me think of the mystery of the solar and lunar eclipses. Notice that the charioteer doesn't hold any reins in his hands, and this indicates that he controls this chariot by sheer will alone, and that very much reminds me of Mars in Capricorn. The chariot is about allowing yourself to experience the journey of life, both its highs and its lows. The lack of reins alludes to the idea that we don't have control over anything to do with the physical world. We can only control our responses to what happens out there. The crescents that are on the shoulders of the charioteer, those are a reminder that this card comes under the domain of the sign Cancer. And rather like the crab has this hard physical outer shell, that's very much like our physical body, our physical journey from birth to death. But just like the crab has a soft center, so do we. We have this sweet soul that's at the center of our being, and that also has a journey. But instead of it being from birth to death, it is life after life after life. It's an eternal journey. So it's a reminder that it's not about the destination, it's the journey itself that's important. And the other side of this is as well that the charioteer, even though he travels far from his physical home, his spiritual home, his true home is always within him. Like Mercury, the chariot knows when to move forwards and when to move back. And sometimes it needs to travel back to take a different road or to review the crossroads, or for a little course correction if the way ahead is unclear, if you've got a muddy road ahead. The charioteer knows passion, and he has motivation. And that's rather like the fiery grand trine, passion and motivation to get going. He's brave enough to travel to all these unknown places, and through that he gains further knowledge and experience of himself as well as of the world as well. And he's inspired by what he sees. And lastly, the charioteer knows that there's going to be mysteries along the way. Just rather like eclipses bring these unpredictable elements into our lives. This is something the charioteer understands. It's kind of like getting lost in a city that you don't know and finding a wonderful bar or a wonderful view just when you least expected it. So this month, I think the chariot is saying, step into the driving seat. Know that you can get to where you want to be, but also be prepared for some obstacles or diversions in the road ahead. The trick really is to enjoy the journey itself and the challenges that it presents along the way.
All hail to the Queen of Stars.